Welcome back to our channel, where we update the shocking secrets, shocking details and unexpected shocks of the TV series Beyond the Gates. Don't take your eyes off the screen because today's story will make you dizzy with hidden truths. In the cold and haunted space of the hospital, where the long corridors covered with pale lights seemed to stretch endlessly, Nicole stood motionless, her heart pounding, every cell in her body tensed with fear and pressure. The hurried footsteps, the metallic sounds of the nurse's cart, all blended together into a haunting, chaotic melody echoing in her ears. Unprecedented panic suffocated Nicole's mind, making all her thoughts blurry and confused. What had just happened before her eyes in the emergency room was like a real nightmare that she could not escape from. Nicole's trembling hands quickly swiped across the phone screen, pressing each number that she had memorized by instinct. On the other end of the line, Jacob's voice rang out. But she didn't have time to let him ask any more questions. Her voice was choked, full of tension, the pressure pouring out of each word, demanding that Jacob come immediately. In that moment, there was no room for hesitation. Everything was so urgent that it couldn't wait another second. Nicole knew the situation was more serious than she could imagine, and deep in her subconscious, she had a hunch that it wasn't just a simple accident or medical incident. Chaotic memories rushed back like a rewind in her head. From recent investigations related to the network of corruption that was creeping into the police department, whispered rumors about dangerous underground activities, to the mysterious disappearances of people who dared to face the truth. Nicole wasn't sure if what was happening today was directly related to that network. But all the signs pointed to the same terrifying suspicion. She remembered a few days ago, when important files were stolen from the police station. Key evidence of the shady activities of those who were supposed to protect justice. Jacob had been directly involved in that investigation, and he had also received vague threats. Strange eyes following him in the dark, unmarked cars parked silently across the street whenever he left his house. Nicole's mind was spinning with a series of speculations, each piece gradually fitting together to form a terrifying picture that she didn't want to believe was true. Maybe the incident at the hospital this time was part of that conspiracy. Or maybe something much darker was secretly going on that they hadn't yet realized. The minutes of waiting for Jacob seemed to drag on endlessly, while the doctors and nurses kept moving. The emergency room doors opened and closed repeatedly, and the sound of the alarms made the air even more stuffy. Nicole clenched her hands, her nails digging into her palms until they hurt. But she didn't care about the physical feeling at the moment. Her mind was filled with unanswered questions, fear for her loved ones, and worries about the secrets hidden behind the curtain of truth. Deep down, Nicole knew that tonight wouldn't end simply, and that everything was just beginning. Nicole stood there, in the cold hallway of the hospital, while her heart was still beating chaotically and each passing second seemed to drag on forever. In her mind, fragmented images intertwined like a storm of memories. From when the investigation began, the shady information about the police station gradually revealed, to the whispers she and Jacob heard about a secret organization manipulating everything from behind closed doors. She could not forget the night not long ago, when Jacob returned home with a pale face, his shirt covered in stains like engine oil. His eyes bewildered as he recounted that someone had followed him all the way from the police station to the apartment complex. Although Jacob tried to act calm at that time, saying that it could just be a coincidence or that someone had taken the wrong turn, Nicole could always clearly feel the anxiety hidden in his every gesture, every look. And now, as she stood in the middle of the hospital, the loudspeaker continuously blaring emergency codes that she could not fully understand, she was even more certain that everything could not be just a coincidence. Because the person lying in the emergency room was a key figure involved in the corruption case that Jacob and his team had been pursuing for so long. It was Mason, a man who used to be a high-ranking officer in the police department, who had mysteriously disappeared a few months ago after declaring that he would expose the entire dirty network that was running through the force he had served in. The news of Mason's disappearance shocked the public, but then the case quickly sank into oblivion like many other times, when those in power silently extinguished every ray of truth. No one knew where Mason had gone, whether he was alive or dead, until Nicole suddenly received an anonymous call, directing her to this hospital, where Mason was in critical condition. The caller did not reveal his identity. His voice was low, hoarse, and hurried as if afraid someone would discover him, only had time to leave a few short sentences and then hung up. Each of those details was like pieces of a puzzle stacked on top of each other in Nicole's head, making her fear grow more and more. She knew that if Mason was here, in a life-threatening situation, then there must be many worse things waiting behind. Maybe he had found out the truth, maybe he was silenced by the people in the dark, and if so, people like Jacob, like her, who dared to dig too deep, would not have a good ending. Nicole looked out the large glass door in front, where the night covered the outside. The street lights flickered like small flames in the dark space. Outside the hospital, she saw the shadows of black cars parked here and there, the shadows of people standing silently. Maybe security personnel, maybe people she did not want to face. The tension tightened her mind, making each breath more difficult. Time seemed to stand still. Everything around her was just the echoing sounds of machines, hurried footsteps, and a feeling of unease creeping into every breath. Finally, after a long wait, Nicole saw Jacob appear at the end of the hallway, his face hard, his eyes sharp, each step full of determination as he rushed towards her. But Nicole couldn't breathe a sigh of relief. Because Jacob's eyes when he saw her reflected the fear that they both understood. What was happening was no longer random, no longer a simple accident, but a sign of a darker chain of events that was silently unfolding. Nicole briefly told Jacob what she knew, while he squeezed her hand tightly, his eyes quickly scanning the hallway as if he was being followed. They both knew that if Mason was in critical condition and if he was really being hunted down by someone to silence him, then they didn't have much time left. The information Mason held could be the final link to exposing the entire corruption ring, but it could also be the reason why he became a target. Nicole's mind was filled with chaotic thoughts. Should they continue to dig deeper into this case, or should they retreat before it's too late? But then Jacob's eyes looked straight at her, full of determination, as if affirming that having come this far, they could not turn back. Inside the emergency room, the doctors were still working hard to save Mason's life, while outside, hidden people might be watching their every move. Nicole and Jacob understood that they had to take advantage of every short moment to find out the truth, before the darkness swallowed everything. And in the gloomy space of the hospital tonight, every secret seemed to be gradually revealed, bringing with it unpredictable dangers that they had never imagined. If you find this story too shocking, too suffocating and want to know what happens next, don't forget to click the follow button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any developments. Be prepared, because the next shocks are much more terrifying.